Welcome back. The modernization of St. Lucia's education system continues with the support of the technical mission from the Republic of China on Taiwan. Alicia Ali tells us more.
Stakeholders from a cross-section of St. Lucian society met at the Union Orchid Gardens on Monday to discuss the Smart Education Project. Curriculum specialist for technology integration, Jermaine Anthony, said several factors need to align before the project can be realized. This, he said, includes training teachers and school leaders, assigning human resources, sourcing software applications, and acquiring the necessary infrastructure.
Smart Education is really a subset of the Smart Nation project, which was conceived by the Ministry of the Public Service in the first instance. It is also aligned with what we're trying to do in the Ministry of Education with respect to our ICT and education policy. And it really is, it's conceived as a project that would bring together the Republic of China and Taiwan with the government of St. Lucia through the Ministry of Education to deliver on some of the very important resources that are required for us to be able to integrate technology in school.
Head of the Taiwanese Technical Mission to St. Lucia, Mario Chen, said it is important for stakeholders to have an input into the project.
The reason is we try to presentation share our Taiwan smart education program to let our St. Lucia stakeholder they know what is we going to cooperation with you. And then we also like to hear about the local feedbacks. So after that, we will decide the better project for the St. Lucia.
Professor Huang facilitated the meeting, bringing his expertise in using smartphones for learning.
Smartphone is very popular in education. If mobile phone and education combine, will help students learning good, and a lot of motivation will inspire. So it's a good tool to help students learning, and it's also good for teacher.
The Republic of China, Taiwan, is one of the most strategic partners in technology integration in St. Lucia. From the Communications Unit in the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations, and Sustainable Development, I am Alicia Ali reporting.
The upsurge of snake sightings in different parts of the island, according to the Forestry Department, is as a direct result of heavy rains, forcing the reptiles to migrate to drier ground. The issue, they say, goes all the way back to Hurricane Tomas in 2010. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
Hot 7 News has gotten to the bottom of a slithery situation which has been creating mixed reactions ranging from awe to all-out terror. As numerous reports began to surface over the past few months about sightings of boa constrictor snakes, the question was raised asking why the sudden upsurge. Speaking to Pius Hayes, who is a senior wildlife conservation officer, it was revealed that the large reptiles are migrating for quite a few reasons.
One of it would be simply loss of habitat. Okay, so habitat loss could be due to a number of factors: conversion of land for development, either for residential development or touristic development. Persons have cut down the forest, they have disturbed the areas where the boas were typically known to exist. And as a result, you find that the boas are naturally displaced by those disturbances within their natural habitat. The other reason is that the boas, towards the end of last year, November, December, you'd find that this would be more or less the breeding season for these animals. They give birth to live young, so we call that term viviparous, meaning that the boas, they give birth to live young. And that typically happens during the month of April, May. That is when they drop their young. During the latter part of the year, November, December, you'd find that the boas would be more or less in search of mates. They'd be on the move with the intention of mating, and as a result, that could be a factor that causes displacement.
Another reason for displacement, he said, was weather events.
Flooding, by heavy rains and so on, they get displaced through those means, and they get into areas where they would not usually be seen, and then they'd find their way around, get into forests and so on.
Haynes said although the typical location for the snakes are areas like Prale, Dennery, Fodor, Millet, and Canneries, they are increasingly being spotted and rescued in numerous places where they are not normally found, including Savans Bay and Monrepo. He said this is very problematic.
This, we believe, in itself constitutes, a problem, because people are now seeing the St. Lucia boa, where they never used to see it before, and then most persons are afraid and they don't know what to do, and most times we find that the species is being persecuted or even killed. The boa is the largest of our snakes. All of our snakes are endemic to St. Lucia. Okay, so the boa is an endemic subspecies. So by endemic, I mean that you'd only find this particular species occurring naturally only in St. Lucia.
Haynes said there has not been a recent island-wide population count for the non-venomous reptile. However, he said a safe assumption can be made that the number is rising. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
The government of St. Lucia is currently advancing an initiative that will allow businesses to use non-traditional forms of collateral to secure financing. With this new venture, businesses will be able to use their movable assets such as their inventory, equipment, accounts receivables, vehicles, or anything that is of value to the business as a security for a loan. Glenn Simon reports.
In an effort to improve the ease of doing business in St. Lucia, government is undertaking a number of interventions in the business environment as it relates to improving access to finance. The National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, a member of the Doing Business Task Force, is coordinating the legislative framework that will facilitate the use of movable properties to secure loan financing. Access to finance is but one of the 11 parameters used to determine the ease of doing business within a country. Fiona Hinkson, Director of the National Competitiveness and Productivity Unit, NCPU, explains how this proposed legislation under the rubric Secure Transactions in Movable Properties will transform the business environment.
Right now, the common form of collateral use is house and land. With this new venture, businesses will be able to use immovable assets such as the inventory, accounts receivable, equipment, vehicles, and anything that is valuable to the business in order to secure loan financing.
According to statistics from the International Finance Corporation, a member of the World Bank Group, approximately 70% of a firm's wealth is concentrated in its movable assets. Hinkson highlighted that Jamaica has already enacted similar legislation, and she is hopeful that the Secure Transactions legislation would be finalized and approved before the end of 2019.
As you know, St. Lucia was #1 in the region in doing business, and with this new implementation in Jamaica, they have now moved to the #1 position, which meant that they are now able to provide more financing to locals who want to be able to expand their business.
The Secure Transactions legislation would be accompanied by an online securities registry, which would be established within the registry of the High Court. It will provide financial information on securities interest on movable properties to financial institutions or persons who provide credit to businesses or individuals.
It also gives the financial institution the comfort in knowing that there is a legal framework for them to lend using movable properties. Also, when you generally look at the business environment, we expect to see an improvement in the business environment. We expect to see those type of initiatives impacting the country's overall competitiveness.
35% of local firms consider the lack of access to finance a major to severe barrier to their growth and development. For the National Competitiveness and Productivity Unit, Glenn Simon reporting.
You're watching the Hot 7 Nightly News. Tennyson Glasgow is up next with the sports news.